Okay. Imagine a place where every single material item ever made in the last 50 years was at your disposal. Toys like Legos and dolls and robots, or CDs and DVDs from around the world, football, soccer balls, house appliances like lawnmowers or refrigerators, or those really expensive Japanese toilets that you see that flush themselves. All of these things just sitting there kind of like drifting and glistening in the sun. If you can imagine that place, it sounds kind of fantastic, but there is a place that actually exists with all that stuff. And it's not necessarily as nice as that, but what today I would like to shed some light on is the world's largest landfill called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. What it is, I'm going to explain to you today what it is, how it got there, why it's bad for us, and things to prevent it from getting larger. The patch is a place where, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, actually it's between California and Hawaii, and then there's also one between Hawaii and Japan. And there's a long patch of trash that connects both big, giant, huge patches that are in the ocean. Each one of these patches has about 1 million tons of trash, which is huge. If you think about that, the one that's here between California and Hawaii is about 2 times the size of Texas. Each one of those patches has not only major items like refrigerators and all those other big giant things, they have really small pieces of plastic that have broken down, because plastic doesn't biodegrade. It photodegrades, which means that it never actually goes away. It just breaks up into smaller pieces, which are called nurdles. The waves where the patches are is in a form called the gyre. And the gyre is these circles of air currents that make a spiral, so the trash moves slowly in circles, huge circles, and they don't really go anywhere. It just all collects there. And the only places where the trash ever hits are places that are like land that's surrounded by those gyres. So in Hawaii, there's places where you can find on the beaches 5 to 10 foot piles of trash all along the beach. So the world actually produces about 100 million tons of plastic a year, and 10% of all that plastic that's produced goes into the ocean every year. And of the 10% that's in the ocean, 80% of it comes from the land, which is according to Greenpeace. So 90% of that trash is plastic. And so half of, the 10% of it sinks to the bottom, which is eaten by animals that are in the ocean. But the other 10% is eaten by the other big animals that are around, like seals or birds or anything that comes into contact with the trash out in the patches. So the EPA says that anybody who leaves trashes on their beach, this is from the land sources, people that leave trash on the beach, or people who throw their trash into the ocean. There's a lot of people who actually go and dump trash, anything that they're trying to get rid of, into the ocean, and it all collects into these patches. So also, if there's people who throw their trash out on the streets, it goes down the drainage into the sewers and down into the ocean. So that's how it all collects. So 80% of that is from us throwing trash out on the streets. The effects of doing this are, you can imagine that if animals eat the trash out in the ocean, they're not going to live, because they have trash in their stomach. So all that plastic has killed tons and tons of wildlife, where if you open up some of the animals that you find dead on the beaches down over in Hawaii, most of them look like they are supermarkets, because they just have tons of plastic inside of them. One of the stories that a researcher found when they went down there, they found an albatross, which is a big, huge bird that was eating some of the trash. And he said that it looked like a cigarette lighter shelf at a convenience store because all of the different colored lighters that were inside of its stomach just made, it was just full of them. He said there were over 100 in his stomach. So another effect of the trash being out there is that we eat the seafood that comes in contact with that. So when the seafood, like little pieces of sea animals, eat those little nurdles, which are the broken up pieces of trash, the bigger animals eat those, and in addition eat those plastics. And then you, as the human, eat the bigger pieces of fish, and you're eating that plastic. It actually is supposed to have been, as we go down the line of time period, we are eating more and more fish with seafood inside of, with plastics inside of it, and so we're getting more and more health concerns. One of the things that you can, one of the effects of eating that seafood are nervous system problems. You can also develop cancers from all those plastics, and for men, you lower your sperm count by eating seafood with plastics in them. That's been happening a lot recently. According to Dr. Marcus Erickson of the Aguilita Marine Research Foundation, he says, what goes in the ocean goes into these animals and onto your dinner plate. It's that simple. So what we need to do is, in order for us to stop the trash from going into the ocean, we need to really enforce the international treaties that prevent dumping, because we do have a lot of systems set up to prevent that, but they're not enforced because we don't have enough people. So that would also encourage job growth if we could, hire more people to do that job and enforce those treaties. Also, we must treat all the sewage that goes into the ocean. Instead of letting all the trash flow into the ocean, we should actually come up with some systems. We should, get people to create systems for us to get it, prevent the ocean trash. Also, we should. Recently, a lot of the city governments are trying to start plastic bags, ban them from being used, and that's one of the really important steps that we can use because a lot of them float out into the ocean. So we need to really go along with those policies in order for us to do like simple steps to prevent the trash from going out there. And then as individuals, we must try to stop using plastic bottles, because they say that if you go out into the ocean, you can see the majority of the things that are floating out there are those plastic bottles. And we can also recycle them. If we do have to use them, we can recycle them and prevent them going into the ocean. So a lot of people might make the argument that they can't change anything, there's nothing for them to do, but actually if we just took those little steps of recycling or just changing our purchase product from plastics to other products, it would do a great deal of difference in there. And also, like people make the argument that it's not your one piece of trash isn't really going to affect everybody, but if everybody has that mentality, then we are really going to, it accumulates and it adds up into having those huge patches. So now that we've learned about the Great Pacific Patch and how it was formed and what we can do to stop adding to it, I hope that everybody makes the decisions for the future to stop using the products and prevention of adding to the patch.
So Corey, what did you think?
I thought it was really good. The attention grabber was very effective, I think. It kind of got your attention, and then it kind of led you into her topic in a sort of surprising way. She also seemed very knowledgeable and passionate about her topic, and I found that the comparison with Texas and the emotional grow with the animals and health concerns were all really good examples she used to kind of, presented seemed to be fairly reasonable, at least the way she presented it.
Okay. I like the visualization at the beginning also. I thought that was an interesting way, and then you get the reveal of the topic, which is going to draw us in. I do think you need to have a clearer statement of where you're going with the topic once you get there, and ultimately what the speech is going to be about. Because at the beginning it sounds a lot like, well, it's going to be about this Pacific Patch, and it's going to be an informative speech, but at the end you do have recommendations, you do have an argument, and so you want to tell us, you know, that there's something that we can do to prevent this, and I'm going to try and convince you that this is important enough for us to prevent. So I think you need a statement like that.